Crossovers have been a part of Power Rangers for quite some time and are some of the most beloved episodes of the franchise. Even that one with Saban's terrible Ninja Turtles show. Even the comics have had crossovers between other Ranger teams, as well as the Justice League and the Ninja Turtles again. But this time it's awesome. We've started the second season of Beast Morphers, and one of the most anticipated episodes features the return of Austin St. John as Jason, as well as some returning Dino Charge Rangers.
Tokusatsu is littered with crossovers. Whereas Power Rangers will reserve the big event for a 1 or 2 episode special, Tokusatsu will go all out and have their team-up movies shown in theaters. They dedicate entire seasons such as Gokaiger, Kamen Rider Decade, and Kamen Rider Zi-O as anniversary specials.
On the surface, it may seem that all you need for a good crossover is to bring back fan-favorite characters, but it's actually a little more complicated than that.
Tokusatsu's crossovers are consistently worlds ahead of what Power Rangers does, and it all comes down to how the characters are treated.
Today, we're talking about the elements of a good crossover. It's time for a transformation sequence. This subject is actually quite a personal one to me. When I started watching Sentai, I was only interested in watching Zyuranger through Mega Ranger since those shows were the ones that had been adapted into the seasons of Power Rangers that I had watched as a kid.
That's sad and depressing. What changed your mind?
I had a friend that was into Sentai and he would not stop talking about Gokaiger. Eventually I watched it and it convinced me that the other seasons of Sentai were worth looking into. From what I've seen, Gokaiger was a gateway Sentai for a lot of people, and it's easy to see why. The previous Sentai members don't have their powers, and so the focus isn't on cool suits and powers as much as the contrasting and conflicting personalities of the Gokaigers and their seniors. Seeing characters have meaningful interactions does a lot more to display the worth of these properties than pretty cinematic fight scenes. This is what convinced me that Liveman was worth my time. Not the suits and not the mecha designs. It was this sincere conversation between the Joes.
大事な仲間だったんだろう。だったら人間でなくなろうが敵になろうが救えるもんなら救ってやりてえ。悩んで当たり前だろ。あがいて当たり前だろ。
Because of Gokaiger, I ended up watching Shinkanger, which had a crossover with Kamen Rider Decade. And then Kamen Rider Decade turned out to be a huge anniversary crossover season, which turned me into a Kamen Rider fan. I'm only the Tokusatsu fan I am because of crossovers.
Gokaiger's significance goes a bit deeper than what was seen on the screen. In 2011, while the series was being filmed, a great earthquake struck Japan. It was a 0.9 magnitude force of nature that triggered a tsunami. Nearly 20,000 people died due to the quake itself, or as a byproduct of the quake.
I lived in Japan a couple of years after it happened. Foreign teachers that were part of the JET program had banded together to provide financial donations to help the victims. Once a year, the school I worked at would hold a moment of silence in remembrance of the tragedy.
While people were doing their best to give food, medical aid, and shelter, Teruaki Ogawa, known for his roles in Kaku Ranger and Ginga Man among other things, started a Twitter account where he posted encouraging messages for children in character. Toku actors from Sentai, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, and others all joined in and wrote messages as their characters for the children that had been affected by the earthquake. Teruaki's tweets were the reason a lot of previous Sentai actors even heard of Gokaiger being an anniversary season, causing them to reach out to Toei. Originally, the only cameos from former Sentai planned were the ones that would give the team a cool toy-related power, like the Magi Dragon. The actions of Teruaki and all the other Tokusatsu actors demonstrated just how important fictional heroes could be in society, and so, Gokaiger was changed so that at least one former member of every previous Sentai made an appearance. In both real life and Gokaiger, these actors were able to show why they still mattered in the world, and pass on their legacy to the next generation.
That just makes me love Gokaiger even more.
Gokaiger wasn't the crossover Sentai that got me to look into the series outside of the ones myself and my best friends appear in. For me, it was the Super Sentai's strongest battle, and because I liked Sasori Orange, I watched all of Q Ranger and loved it.
Haven't seen much of Q Ranger yet. I've heard good things, though. Daizyujin? What's wrong, buddy?
I summon the God Horn. Watch Q Ranger, damn it!
Daizyujin?
How many times do I have to tell you to watch Q Ranger?
Okay, I'll get to it. Just stop.
I'm going to hold you to that.
While Gokaiger is beloved by most of the Sentai fanbase, its Power Rangers adaptation, Super Megaforce, has an infamous reputation.
Oh, I know a bit about that. They spent all the first and second season building up what they called the Legendary War. It was supposed to be a big epic battle with all the previous Ranger teams involved. But instead of being the climax of the story, it came after the main plot of the final episode and felt more like an epilogue than a finale.
Yeah, the thing is, the fight itself is actually pretty cool. It was directed by Koichi Sakamoto, who I talked about in my Eras of Power Rangers video, and it's as good as his previous work. But this fight should have been earlier in the episode. The veteran Rangers should have come in and helped to defend the city during the main fight, instead of fighting a bunch of mooks after the main story was concluded. Also, they were trying really hard to imitate Gokaiger's formula, but didn't have nearly enough veteran actors to pull it off. The Rangers would get an ability based off a particular season, but they didn't have to do anything related to that season to earn it. Their mentor Gosei was like, "Hey, you guys can use the Mystic Force power now, because I feel like it, I guess." There's only one tribute episode that felt like a real tribute episode, and that was Spirit of the Tiger, since they actually got Jason Smith to reprise his role as Casey, the Jungle Fury Red Ranger.
Why were there so few veteran actors brought back for Super Megaforce?
Because Haim Saban is not a people person. From what I could gather, a lot of actors such as Karen Ashley and Steve Cardenas were offered cameos, but they turned it down because they did not think the pay was enough for the amount of time they would be away from their own businesses and projects. Essentially, Saban didn't want to pay extra to ensure he had as many alumni as he could. Karen Ashley apparently went on a big rant about why she turned down the offer, but I can't find that video anymore.
That's suspicious. Well, I'm sure the fans supported their childhood idols.
Yes and no. I have read some old comments from people that were upset that these actors were more concerned about money than doing it for the fans.
Knowing what we do now about the conditions on the show, I don't blame them. A lot of these actors were young and hungry when they accepted the job, and because of that, they were willing to put up with insufficient pay and grueling work hours.
By 2013, these people weren't young and hungry anymore. They were adults with comfortable careers and lives.
Being in the legendary battle required flying out to New Zealand for what is essentially a walk-on role if you're not Tommy. Yeah, I don't blame them for wanting a better offer. The difference between Gokaiger and Super Megaforce is night and day. Even if it wasn't intentional from the get-go, there's a real sense of reverence in Gokaiger toward the legacy of past Sentai. Super Megaforce just seems really cynical. Instead of respecting the past, it seems more interested in getting you to buy the Ranger Key knickknacks.
It doesn't help that apparently Saban downplayed the pirate theme because he didn't think that pirate-themed toys would sell well.
But they have a pirate ship. And the Megazord wears a pirate hat. Also, Gokaiger has the second highest full fiscal toy sales of Sentai this past decade, only being beaten by Kyoryuger.
I don't think Saban looked at or cared much about Japanese toy sale records. While Gokaiger can be seen as a masterclass on how to do an anniversary season, Super Megaforce is definitely the prime example of how to screw it up. I don't want to completely throw it under the bus though. There were some fun moments here and there.
Like what?
I actually really liked how in the first episode the Rangers went back to destroyed sets from the Megaforce season to repel the invasion. It gave the conflict a real sense of peril and stakes. In the first episode, there's a part where Gokai Green turns into Gosei or Megaforce Red, which screws a bit with the series continuity. So instead, Jake turns into the Red Overdrive Ranger. It actually showed some promise and effort.
Until they pulled out pre-Zhu Ranger forms without any explanation.
I remember. The fandom had a field day with that. In addition to the Jungle Fury tribute episode, there were some other episodes that I did actually enjoy. I also think Sarah Hannah was horribly undervalued by Saban. She has reprised her character multiple times and was in Dimensions in Danger. She seems really enthusiastic about having played a ranger, and she's popular with the fan base.
Well, it's too bad she isn't Tommy Oliver or related to him somehow.
She easily could have been Power Rangers Captain Marvelous, and I'm still mad that they didn't incorporate the Ranger keys into Dimensions in Danger. If you want to know my thoughts on that special, you can watch the video I did on it a while back. Unfortunately, we just haven't had any great crossover events since the 15th anniversary special Once a Ranger. For a while, Power Rangers did yearly team-up episodes similar to the Versus movies in Sentai, and they were actually pretty good. I missed them.
Didn't the comics have that big crossover event a while back? Shattered Grid? Wasn't that the one that had the multiple Ranger teams come together to fight the personification of Power Ranger fanfiction?
Lord Drakon is... okay, fine, I'll give you that one. I did enjoy Shattered Grid, and it was certainly better than Dimensions in Danger, but as an anniversary crossover, there are still some parts of it that are a little weak.
I didn't actually finish reading that one. I was too busy watching Q Ranger, which has a large cast and awesome costumes that would make a great season of Power Rangers, but they decided to go with Ryu Soldier because of dinosaurs!
Right. Look, do you need a moment? Why do you care so much about what gets adapted next? You only watch Power Rangers when you're watching it with me.
It's the principle! I'm fine. Go ahead and continue talking about why you thought Shattered Grid was a bit weak and make the fans hate you.
In my opinion, the best crossovers are ones that encourage people to go and revisit series and characters from the past that they may have never seen or heard of. Kind of like what Gokaiger did for me. It's also the reason I'm not as hard on Kamen Riders Decade or Geo as a lot of fans are. As confusing as their plots or stories are, they both got me to see past Kamen Rider series I hadn't seen before. While Shattered Grid is fun, I don't see it encouraging readers to go back and watch Ninja Storm or SPD. There are a couple of characters like Lauren and Dr. K that get to shine and be an important part of the story, but most of them are just window dressing.
So which Power Rangers anniversary special do you think showcases its alumni cast the best?
I'm going to have to go with Once a Ranger on that. Forever Red is probably still my favorite anniversary team-up, but I love how Once a Ranger treats the Rangers of the past. When they show up, you hear their respective theme songs played, and the characters feel like how they did from their seasons. One of the reasons I went back and watched SPD was because I thought Bridge was funny, and Kira and Tori were also pretty great. I had watched it originally for Johnny Young Bosch as Adam, but it did actually help expand my appreciation for the other series of the past.
Aren't they doing another big crossover soon with Beast Morphers?
Yes. They have adapted the Go Buster vs. Kyoryuger movie, which was also a crossover with Jew Ranger and Abba Ranger.
Fun note, that movie was directed by Koichi Sakamoto, who directed an absurd number of Power Rangers episodes, in addition to being a producer during the Disney era. That movie was insane. How do they plan on adapting that? Do you think I'm going to be in it? If I am, Beast Morphers will be my second favorite series of Power Rangers.
It looks like they plan on putting Jason front and center, which is cool, and Austin St. John definitely deserves center stage, but I hope the other returning Rangers aren't neglected. It would be great if a kid watching this saw this special and became interested in the Dino Charge season, or even Dino Thunder and Mighty Morphin, because they liked how the characters interacted with each other and the Beast Morpher Rangers. I really feel like that should be your goal with a crossover. Inspire younger generations to look into and appreciate the past that's come before. You know, I don't actually own any of the roleplay toys that use these, but I still like having them. It feels like owning a piece of the franchise's history.
Do you think the next big crossover event will be good?
I don't know. But I like what I've seen of Beast Morphers so far, so I'm optimistic. Well, now, I really need to finish watching Ryu Soldier since that's being adapted into the next season. Daizyujin?
I'm sorry. Which Sentai series did you say you were watching next?
That's all for now. May the power protect you.
The power doesn't protect people who don't appreciate Q Ranger.
There are always
so many different colors. There's orange and gold and silver and
There's a lot of colors and soldiers too. There's 7 of them. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to be notified whenever I drop a new video, don't forget to ring the bell. Power Rangers is available for streaming on services such as Netflix and Amazon, while Super Sentai can be found on places such as ShoutFactoryTV.com. Please support the official releases whenever possible.